we're very active on social media, but we don't use AI for anything. Charlie Chaplin said that there's a backdoor to every stage. So what we always try to do is, yeah, okay, well, if everyone's doing this, what can we do that's completely different? With my staff, they get full access to the business financials, the business plan. I lead completely with an open book. Everyone gets to see everything. We just embedded a videographer right into the company, and he records everyone in the staff meeting, and that all becomes content that we're going to pull from. So there is no scripts. Everything that we do is in the live in the moment. So some things that we do is we don't work with influencers. We also don't want to go on Dragon's Den. Nothing pisses me off more than being like, I just went to Tim Hortons for their new double with salted caramel in it, and let me tell you, it was the best coffee I've ever had. Well, how much did they pay you to say that? So what we're doing instead is we've found some very, very ambitious people that nobody knows that have incredible goals doing really hard stuff. Our bareback Bronco rider, he's got 3 posts on Instagram. No one knows where he is. So we're not sponsoring one of the jets. I score more goals when I drink. Like, we're not doing that. I've met entrepreneurs that, you know, they own a company and all it is about profit, profit, profit. That turned me off from business. But then I don't love how society says you're fine the way you are, treat yourself, do what's best for you. I hate that. I think that we're all capable of being so much more. To me, entrepreneurship and business was this mythical thing that only really incredible people could understand. I didn't know what an invoice was. I'd never seen a balance sheet before. I would love to demystify that for people.
I know that there was a point when you couldn't even put your face on your own brand.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Instagram was very different at the time, but I was working as a cop, and there was an energy that we wanted to protect there, where I wanted to do certain work in the police. So I worked in the gang unit, and for the safety of me and my business partner at the time, we just didn't put our faces out there a lot. And it's too bad, because I think we definitely would have grown earlier if we had. Obviously now that I'm not a cop anymore, my face was on a lot of stuff. And it's way more fun and it's better for the company. But at the time, it just didn't feel like the safe thing to do.
So for anybody that's like completely unfamiliar, what does like working in the gang units, what does that look like?
So I worked in the street gang unit. So we don't call it that, but for simplicity, I will call it that. So we would have been working on street level gangs and anything kind of underneath organized crime. So our target would have been anything street level, crack shacks, kind of the younger gangs. That was our target niche that we worked on.
Okay. So it literally, like, if you had just been plastering your face on this business, it would have kind of given you away to people. Just
Yeah, well, some of those people don't like me, and that's okay. Yeah.
Understood. So I know you've talked about before that you come from a whole family of like cops and soldier backgrounds. How did that background lead you to starting a coffee company?
I don't know if it led me to that, but the adventure of starting something of my own was so foreign to my entire bloodline. So my whole family have been civil servants forever. So for me, being interested in entrepreneurship wasn't like, oh, well, my dad used to do he had a business and I'll just learn from him and take it over. Like, that wasn't the case. I didn't know anyone. So I think for me, the mystery of entrepreneurship, that first step to get to entrepreneurship, was so massive. And I was really drawn to that adventure. And I wanted to do something a little bit more positive, which seems weird because I think as a cop, we helped a lot of people. But we've been able to do some pretty incredible things with the business that I think have been even more impactful in odd ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. I feel like when people get into law enforcement, I imagine you would get into it because you want to make a positive change. But I imagine that the work or the nature of it probably weighs on you and sometimes probably feels the opposite of that.
I think what you learn early as a cop is gone are the days of the neighborhood sheriff walking down the main street and helping people. Now it is a system highly scrutinized by lawyers who um, aren't out there living in the community and doing what's best for people. It's a very litigious, controlled environment. So cops are not out there with a bunch of freedom to do what they want. They're strapped into a machine that has to turn under the certain policies and procedures. And it's sucked out a lot of the human parts of what should be a very human job. And I would say that's, if I was to really go deep on that, true with a lot of parts of our society now, where the government controls everything, accountants run businesses, corporate law runs corporations. There's not a lot of humans left anymore. AI is running social media, the algorithms controlling how we feel. So with my business now, I'm trying to buck all of that. So we're very active on social media, but we don't use AI for anything. And I've really taken off on LinkedIn, and I don't use any AI to write script or do any ideation for my LinkedIn, because my belief is the world is hurting for people. And so we talk about that a lot here, because I lived in an environment that should be a very people focused job, and it has not maintained that.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. That was a kind of a big driver for why we wanted to make content like this, because one of our kind of philosophies is that the world doesn't really need more content necessarily. We need more like actual connection and like human to human conversation and people sharing the raw, real shit about like, this is what I did, this is what I went through, this is what I'm figuring out. Here it is.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think what's kind of cool with social media is the algorithm actually sort of sorts that out for us. So it promotes sort of the best people at the best things. And then there are some people that figure out how to game that, but people who have really important, great things to say usually get bumped up on the algorithm. So I think in a way it's attempting to correct that. So I think you're right. But having your own opinions is rare. And with a world full of AI doesn't have opinions. It draws all of the opinions from all of the inputs and then formulates something that it thinks is the best opinion. But that's not original thought. That's just combined ideas put into a database.
So when you first started Sheepdog around 2017, so when you were kind of just starting to get into it, you were kind of having this thought of like, I'm going to start doing this on the side. I know you guys started in a church basement, right? So what were those like really early days like when you first started telling people that you were doing this? Like what did that feel like for you?
It's almost hard to remember back because I've learned so much so rapidly. But when we first started, like, to me, entrepreneurship and business was this mythical thing that only really incredible people could understand. What I've learned is that I'm neither of those things. I'm figuring it out. So anyone can probably do it. I'm not very smart. But I have a couple of core values that I think have pushed the company forward. So I think back then it was just, I thought if I just we made this coffee, we started with coffee beans. We put the coffee beans in the bag and we sell it, and we'll go 1 bag and then 2 bags and then 4 bags and then 10 bags, and it'll just grow. That's kind of true, but I didn't understand like how industries work. So like, how does the grocery industry function? How does distribution function? How does food auditing function? I didn't understand any of that. And I remember when we got our first wholesale customer, I didn't even understand what that meant. I didn't know what an invoice was. I'd never seen a balance sheet before. And for some people who are listening to this, they might not know either, because I didn't. I just got my paycheck, and then I spent it on dumb stuff. So I think at that very beginning, we got that first wholesale account. It was like this little bakery in Transcona, and they had I think like 4 shelves of some local products, and they sold cupcakes and stuff. And I was like, man, we made it. Like, this is insane. And now I look at it, I'm like, we've got like 400 accounts and we're just about to go national. Like, it's changed so much. So it's just so different now, like mind-blowingly different.
I have this like perception, maybe it's from like watching The Simpsons or something and just perceiving that cops eat a lot of donuts and drink a lot of coffee, but like, what was it about coffee? Was it because you drank a lot of coffee as a cop and you're like this?
Well, we talked about all sorts of different business ideas. I remember like we were driving around one night and like talking about like roofing or landscaping or some sort of trade, but the firefighters do that. So we said, let's do something different. And so we both obviously drank coffee, and it just seemed like something kind of cool to do. And I don't know if a lot of thought went into it. I'm really more like, I've become an expert in coffee now, but at the time I just was like really fascinated by business and selling a product to people made sense to me because I buy products, so that made sense to me. I buy stuff, so why can't I learn how to make stuff? And I didn't really put much more thought into it than that. Like, yeah.
Interesting. So when you first started, actually, like, it kind of started as something that you were just like, all right, well, let's just see what happens. Let's sell these beans. And then that kind of evolved into something else. How did the people in your life react, like your family and stuff, when you told them, I think I'm going to build a business out of this?
Well, we didn't do this like big hard launch. Like, we were kind of just like, well, we'll make a logo. We'll put that on a bag, I guess, and then we'll see if anyone wants to buy it. And a couple people did, and I think that no one really got scared for me until I said I'm going to leave my job. That's when everyone was like, "Whoa, your pension!" My family's still scared for me. That won't change, I don't think, because they don't understand it, and that's okay. That's okay. It's I understand my business, and I think that when you start your own business, you start to see things that no one else can see. And so it de-risks a lot of stuff for you because when people are like, well, how are you going to sell? Like, what are you going to do? I'm like, no. Like, I can already see it. Like, don't worry about it. Like, I know. And so that becomes less scary because the more you pour into it, the more opportunities you see, and you start seeing less risk. And the risk gets more safe because you can see how you can recover from them. So I think that they just have to have faith that I'm going to just be fine and it's okay.
You didn't have any kind of like business background or anything like
No.
that. So what do you think it was about starting a business that you were so intrigued by, being that you didn't come from a family of entrepreneurs or people who like encourage that?
Okay, well, in grade 4, we had a job fair and everyone did like their different jobs. And then I did entrepreneur, but at the time, President Trump had that show and The Apprentice, and that was like a pretty big show at the time. It was like Survivor, The Apprentice, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Like those were the shows at the time, right? Yeah, exactly. So that was such a fun show to watch, right? And so like I was just enamored with the idea of entrepreneurship, and especially because it was this like mythical thing that I didn't understand. I would love to demystify that for people. Like I think if you do a couple of things right, you should be able to figure out a business. But there was definitely this like mystery to it, but also I like taking on challenge, and I like seeing what I can figure out and learn. So it seemed like there's this mountain that I was at the bottom of, and I didn't even know where to put my foot first. But that was exciting to me.
I actually argue that that's probably what's made you a good entrepreneur, though, is that that mindset of like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm down to just figure it out.
Yeah, you kind of have to be that way. Yeah.
Interesting. So when you kind of told the people in your life that you were going to go full throttle with this, did you feel like they were supportive of it, or were they like, we don't think it's a good idea?
I don't really care. I kind of just do what I want anyways. So, and I've always been that way. So I don't know if I've even thought of that. That's not a thought that registered in my mind. So, I'm just going to do what I'm going to do. And that's just how it's going to be. So, yeah.
Cool. So I know you said you were working in the gang unit while you were building Sheepdog. I think a lot of entrepreneurs can kind of relate to this idea of like almost living a bit of a double life when they're like working and then building a bit of business on the side, but you were actually doing that.
Yeah.
So what was that like on a day-to-day? If you're working these long shifts as a cop and then you're also kind of slowly building this business on the side, what was that like for you to juggle all of it?
It got harder near the end. So like at the beginning, Sheepdog was a hobby. So we had this little website. We sold coffee to friends and family. That's kind of the first year. But then when we opened this, I was still working. Like, we opened this store in our production facility in 2023. Then we really started to get busy. I was a little fortunate that when I worked in street crime, which was the gang unit, we didn't work night shifts. So I had a slightly better sleep routine. I still don't sleep a lot. I just said never have and probably never will. But when we had like this going, because I only left my job 13 months ago, so I was working full time and running the business up until a year ago. So 8 years of running the business and getting off the ground before I left my other job. And the hardest part for me was leadership. So it was one thing to like order stuff and go through my emails or whatever, but leadership was the hardest part, because I would go from a night shift and I would go from a night shift, and I always worked in the core downtown. I spent my whole career in the core or in the gang unit. So I always worked in like high crime areas, but I would go from like a night shift of some of the most awful things in the world and then sleep an hour or two. And it got to the point where I probably pushed a little hard. Like, I would pull over on the side of the road because I'd be so tired that I'd fall asleep for 20 minutes on the side of the road and then keep going with my day, which is probably not healthy, but we've grown a lot, so that's cool. And I left my job, so it was necessary. But to go from a very extreme environment and then coming here where my staff were happy, their problems were so small compared to what I had just dealt with. But like, I don't know if I always got it right, but I tried to like not take out my Jekyll and Hyde that I had to experience on them. And I realized that, when they would get stressed out about something here, I was very fortunate because they cared a lot. And so that was the hardest part, to have to go from like, screaming blood, death, dying, to coffee stickers and t-shirts, right? So that was really hard, to just try and become, fun, good boss with a growing fun brand, and then also go and then on almost no sleep and go into the opposite world. And I really struggled with that for a long time. So I'm very lucky that I got to get out of that and focus now on the business, because I don't have to shapeshift as much anymore.
I know that I think the business did around like 30K in your very first year. Is that accurate? And then it's been steadily growing ever since then.
Yeah.
Was there a moment that you can remember where you remember feeling like, holy shit, this could actually be like bigger than I even thought?
My business partner and I had a discussion about what had to happen with Sheepdog, and it was at the point where it was either going to be the most grueling, annoying hobby, or it had to be a real business. And so we had long discussions about that, and I decided that I was going to go for a drive and make up my mind. So it was like, I think like June, July, or maybe August, like nice summer day. I drive down this street, has all bars and cafes and stuff on it. And this lady walked out of a bakery pushing a stroller. And we used to bottle our cold brew in the basement of the church in these little glass stubby bottles. And she walked out pushing her stroller with a big smile on her face, like out of a catalog, drinking one of our cold brews. And I was like, oh, do more of that. And so literally, I don't know who that lady was, but that bakery doesn't even exist anymore. But that lady made up my mind for me. So that was the moment I was like, okay, I don't know who that is. And we have like 6 stores. And for whatever reason, the moment I'm driving down the street, I get this like, like if you take a picture, it would have been like right out of a perfect little, like it was like a Sears catalog moment. And I was like, okay, just do more of that. That's cool.
And you like had that conversation with your partner of like, I want to go.
Yeah, it went on for a long time. We had both really like poured a lot into it, and we're still good friends. But I think I had the energy to take it on, and so that was the plan. So I took it over. I just I could see it, and I wanted it. Where I think he had different stuff going on in his life, and yeah, he's still one of my best friends. So
Nice.
Yeah.
I watched a couple of the other podcasts that you've done, and something that I heard you say in one of them was that there was a time when you felt like leaving the force felt like a selfish decision for you. Can you explain that, or where you think that came from?
When you come from a long line of civil servants, it's entrenched in your family ethos to serve others. And I've always struggled with the idea that a business seems more selfish. And I think it was just because I was looking at the wrong types of businesses. So I've met entrepreneurs that, they own a company and all it is about profit, profit, profit. And that turned me off from business. And it just felt like that was the part I was scared of. But what I've realized and what I now believe to be true is that I have never run my company that way. We're all about people first and serving and being charitable. And I now get to use my business and the stuff that comes to it, the people, the customers, the money, to do lots of great work in the community for other people. And so that drives me, and I'm very purpose driven, not money driven. I don't need a lot. As long as I get to eat and I can get around in a vehicle, I'm pretty happy. So I think I just had a bad lens into what some businesses are run like. And as I got more into business, I met other business owners that were the people I wanted, that I thought some businesses could be like. And I was like, okay, there's another way to do this. This doesn't have to be ruthless. This doesn't have to be profit over people. We can do it differently. And so it helped soothe that part of me that's very deep inside me to serve others, because now I've built it into the business. So it made it easier, but I had to learn that. And it took a year or two.
I mean, I found that's a very common misconception that a lot of people have about business owners being greedy and being like for profit. And it probably is from observing people like Donald Trump and those kind of characters, that they have this like kind of like evil projection of what business owners are like. But then you get into it and you realize that there's a lot of business owners that get into it because they want to have an impact and because they want to help people.
There are really, really kind, nice, poor people, and there are really awful, mean ones. And there are really kind, nice, rich people, and there are awful, cruel, rich people as well. And I don't think it's an entrepreneur thing. I think it's a human nature thing. And that if you look for it, you can find the right role models at any part of our society. And so I absolutely hate this eat the rich stuff, because there are a lot of very wealthy people I know that deserve that money because they do good things with it. And I think that they just do it to serve others, and they're not waving their flag and trying to showcase it to the world. And I'd actually think that there's more of those people that exist, because if you look around, like, all of these businesses rely on other people. So if everyone here was being ruthless and cutthroat and evil, those businesses never last, ever. And so most businesses that are good and stay around for a long time and make their customers happy are because they're led by really great people.
A lot of like what you took from being a cop has fed into how you approach being a business owner, whether it's like having the perspective of like, guys, this is not a big deal. I literally just came off the streets of downtown Winnipeg, or like you took that mentality of like being of service to people, and that sounds like it's like become a core value of your business.
I would caveat that. So I think the mistake I made early on in my leadership was saying that too often, because what I then learned, and now I've adopted new leadership styles, is that we aren't going to take ourselves seriously, but we are going to take what we do very seriously. And it may sound stupid. We just sell brown bean water. But we want everyone to enjoy it. We want it to be great. We want it to be easy to work with us. And then we just had a staff meeting yesterday where I talked about every touch point with our business has to be great. So our delivery driver takes notes on the loading dock employees at Sobeys so that he can remember to like ask them, how's your dog doing? And our admin people, like every email they send is meant to like be as easy and helpful, and I think that's so important. I think the flaw I made in my leadership is that I was taking that mindset of this doesn't really matter. And for people who haven't had real adult jobs and been out in the world a lot, I think they say, okay, well, nothing matters. I'm like, no, that was wrong. This matters a lot, and us succeeding matters a lot, because the more we can succeed, the more we can do for others, the more we can serve others, the more we can help our customers, the more that we can look after our people. So it actually does matter a lot, but we can't ever take ourselves seriously. Mm-hmm. But what we do and what we offer the world, we do take very seriously. Mm-hmm. So I think that I made a mistake there early on in my leadership, because I thought there was an assumed knowledge in general with people, and I was wrong about that. So now I've changed how I talk about things. And one of the two things that I talked about with my staff yesterday that I try to harp on a lot is that I never want my staff to do things to make me happy. I said, the only way you can please me as the leader of the organization is by doing everything you can to help our customers and other people. And if I see you doing that, then you will get I will give you everything if you look after customers and look after the people that take their time to come to our store, to share us on social media. Like, those are the people that matter, not me. And so I think that was a big shift for our team too. And I wanted to prevent them from doing things to try and appease me, because the only thing that matters to me is serving others.
Yeah.
And so I've tried to build that into our culture here.
You say that building a business has kind of shifted what serving the people means to you?
I think it's the same. It's just a different medium. So what the police offer or try to offer is safety. Whether we get that right all the time or not, I don't know. But what we offer here is an experience. And I hope that people, when they buy our product and they drink it, they feel a certain way about it. They're proud to wear our shirts. They're proud to drink our product. I want them to be refreshed by how we enter the market and talk about things and how we treat people. Like, I want people to feel good about shopping with us, because there are companies out there that are not that way. And I think if we just do the right thing for long enough, then more will come to us.
Been steadily growing over the years. I know you guys recently are going national. You're in several provinces across Canada now. So what has that process been like for you? Because I remember watching a clip where you said that when you guys were expanding into Saskatchewan, you were just the one like up and driving to Saskatchewan to go build those relationships.
Yeah, I'm going again next week. So that's not over yet. We've just tried to do the right thing. And with that also means like trying to advocate for ourselves in the best way. So when we go to trade shows, like, we don't just show up. There's a strategy involved. We have goals in place. We've done work on every part of it leading up to it. We have like post-action reviews. A big thing I do with my team is, at every staff meeting, everyone has to go around in a circle and talk about things that we could do better and things that we did well. So it's an all hands on. Everyone's involved, from the delivery driver to the coffee roaster to the brewer to the marketing girl to the baristas. Like, everyone contributes all the time. So I think it's like that team effort all the time, because I can't move this as fast as I would like to by myself. So it's all about the team. And then that team grows whenever we do like marketing campaigns or partnerships, or if we do with our new distributor, we're like, okay, well, how do we get all of them to understand who we are and be like, wow, like, we represent this brand and we work with them. So it's all about like collaboration, teamwork, communication. That's the most important part. We have to work together.
That makes sense. So you've talked a bit about all the things that you didn't really know getting into the business. You didn't know what an invoice was and stuff like that. So when you first started building a business out of this, what did you know? And what did you just like completely have to figure out on the fly?
I didn't know anything. Nothing. I was a consumer of products. So I knew how to go to a store and buy a product. That's all I knew. So I didn't know anything. We've learned everything from books, YouTube, coaches, mentors, trial and error, consumer feedback. My goal now is I'm going to spend most of my time on coaching my team. And then the rest of my time will go to high-level growth and marketing. And so those are kind of the three things that I'm working to get my schedule dialed in on. Because my team teaches me more than I can teach them. And so I learn way more from them than I think they will ever learn from me. And I knew nothing at all. Like, we just bought this espresso maker a couple of years ago. I had no idea how to make an espresso. I didn't know how to roast coffee. I didn't know how to get building code permits. I didn't know how to set up a distribution portal. I didn't know how to build a sell sheet. I didn't know how to sell. I didn't know how to talk to people. I didn't know how to lead. I didn't know anything. So we had to learn from the ground up, like, everything. But what I gained from the police and the military is what I've learned is the military, what they're really good at is their like how they do their communication and their structure. So I take some of that into everything that we do here. So the military, especially Canadian military, is really good when they give out orders or commands. They always start with the person 2 levels above you, their intent. And so what I always go back to with my staff meetings is I talk about, here's my goal and here's what I think we have to do to get there. And then I sink it back down to their level. So I'm always talking about the goal, what my intent is, and then some of that structure. And it helps me kind of put the team together. And it's really hard when I had my first employee, because then it's just 2 of you trying to do everything. And then now we've got 15. And now we actually have like a structure. And now we've got people who are responsible for things. But like, I take some core concepts from the military and the police, and I just try to tweak them to a civilian organization. But that was really good. And then I think also some of the things that they're very good at would be like the after action review. So we do one after every event or everything that we do. We sit in a room right afterwards and we keep notes of everything that we did and everything that could go wrong, everything that did go wrong, and then everything we did really well too. And the military is really good at that. And so I always apply that here as well. And there's little things that I take from the military too. So I try to look after my staff really well. And if I buy meals for them, like, the higher up you are on the food chain of the company, you eat last, and the people eat first. And so like when we do our little parties and stuff, like I serve the staff, like it's me giving to them. That's a military thing. And in the military, when you're in those early ranks, the higher you go in the rank structure, the less sleep and the more work you do. And so I don't think there's anyone that can outwork me. And I would never expect any of my staff to work as hard as me, but I try to set that bar. So I'm willing to do anything. I don't think anyone could ever come to me and say that that I'm cracking the whip and then going on vacation. I haven't taken a vacation in 6 years. So so that's another big leadership principle that I draw from the military is the more work we do, the more it should be on me to make sure that gets done and lead by example.
So when you were actually starting to build out a team, then being somebody who didn't have business experience, how did you go about picking team members?
So I actually did a bad job at the beginning. I over-indexed on people that I liked talking to. So now I take a very analytical approach. So I have this software program that I use, and it's been a cheat code for me. It was recommended by a friend who runs a business with he's got over 400 employees. And what we do in this software is that we create the job of what we think this position needs to do. And then when we're interviewing, the person has to do a personality assessment. It takes them 3 minutes. It's 2 questions. Then it gives us their personality. So when we have, say we just hired a phenomenal new guy to do some operation stuff for us. Me and a couple of my staff, we built out what this job should look like. And then when we had our candidates interviewing for the job, they did this assessment. So then we can take this and go, okay, if we bring this person in on values, which is very important to us, are they the right person on the bus and in the right seat? And I'm stealing that from the book Good to Great, but the point of using this software is to make sure that you're getting the personality that will do the task you need them to do and love being there doing it. Because there's nothing worse than when you put them in a position and you've asked them to do a task that they don't naturally want to do, because then it's always going to fall behind. It's always going to be the last on their to-do list. And so at the beginning, I over-indexed and hired too many people like me, which are very social people. And so now I've actually tried to get myself out of the way with hiring and be like, hey, take my personality assessment. Let's use some data here and make sure that if you join our team, you're not going to resent your job, because what you're naturally inclined to do is actually aligned with the position we need done. And so that's been an unlock for me, is using this new software, because I can't trust my own gut anymore, because I hire very nice people and they're very great people with good morals and ethics. But the flaw I made was I didn't hire the right people who would love doing the tasks that the business needs to have done. So I made that change, and that's been a huge unlock for our business. We use it for everything now.
Interesting. What is the software called? I'm curious.
It's called Predictive Success. If anyone wants an introduction to it, I can make an introduction. But there's a few different tools out there. I just really liked this one. There is a fee associated, but to me, bringing someone in and then having to let them go in a few months because it doesn't work out is even more expensive. So that fee has really helped us. And I pair that sort of personality data with, who they are as a person, and do they connect with the team, and do they fit in? So I like that approach because I want people to enjoy their jobs. And so making sure that they actually, from a data perspective, have the personality to make them happy and fulfilled in their career is way more important than asking someone I'd like to do a job they actually won't enjoy doing in 6 months from now.
That's interesting. It makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that I think, and I think you've spoken on this before, that Sheepdog does really well is your guys' approach to marketing.
Mm.
And I know you said that that's kind of where you're putting a bit more of your attention now, but again, something that you didn't really have any experience on. So what did your marketing approach look like early on before you had like any kind of real budget to put behind it?
We were a little lucky that when we started, Instagram was different. So Instagram was way more local. It was a lot easier to navigate. It was chronological timelines. So if you went to a market or something, you could post a picture. Anyone who followed anyone in that sphere would get it, and it would show up. You used to scroll Facebook and Instagram, and it would be just true minute by minute, like chronological, right? So you could kind of game it a little bit that way. And the standard was super low. I look at some of the pictures that I was so proud of back then. I'm like, oh, like this would never make it onto our social media or our website now. Like it's so rinky dink compared to what we're doing now. And we didn't honestly do a lot because we didn't have as much infrastructure. Wasn't as stressed about bills coming as I am now. So now it's really changed a lot. But what I've believed since the beginning was that, especially in the consumer packaged goods industry, with CPG, the best brands are the ones that people know about. So as long as the product is as good quality as our marketing, like sales should be easy when the marketing is good. And so I see the vision for Sheepdog really becoming a marketing company that has a great product instead of a product company that does some marketing. So that's our like big vision for where we're going. Yeah, we're all in on organic content. My goal is to get us to 100 pieces of content a week in the next couple of months. So we're going to be pumping out a lot. We've got a whole bunch of like story arcs that we want to build in, but there's obviously like the analytical side to marketing, like what time to post and like where the captions should be and what the content should be. And we get some of that right, but what I think matters more is being genuine. And so I think we try to take a very genuine approach, and we just embedded a videographer right into the company. So now he's actually in all of our staff meetings, and he records everyone in the staff meeting, and that all becomes content that we're going to pull from. So there is no scripts. Everything that we do is just either conversation based or it's in the live in the moment. And so we want to, and I do this on two fronts. So with my staff, they get full access to the business financials, the business plan, every one of my goals, everything that we're working on. I lead completely with an open book. Everyone gets to see everything. And then from the consumer side, we want to build the business the same way. So there is no like hidden stuff here. Like if you want to learn something about our company, you can come here anytime. We'll tell you anything. And we're going to show you everything. We're going to show you like the meetings that go into planning for an event. We're going to show you all that stuff because it's all just, I believe it should be built in the open. So that's our approach now.
Aspire to do something like this, to actually see in real time, like the mechanics of what it takes to run a company that not only stays in business, but actually continues to grow.
I mean, the risk is I'll look really dumb if we go out of business, but that's a risk I have to take, right? So right now, I used to be Shawn the cop. Now I'm Shawn the sheepdog guy. And if we go out of business, I'll be Shawn the guy that used to have sheepdog, right? So yeah, I had a good run. It was cool while it lasted. Yeah.
So what's one of the hardest problems that you've had to solve in building this business that had nothing to do with coffee?
It's all just my own mind. So trying to understand what is possible. Charlie Chaplin said that there's a back door to every stage, and depending on what your audience age demographic is, some of them might not know who Charlie Chaplin is. But I really believe that. So what we always try to do is, well, if everyone's doing this, what can we do that's completely different? So some things that we do is we don't work with influencers. We also don't want to go on Dragon's Den. But what we do instead is we hire stand-up comedians from Winnipeg that are, in my opinion, absolute artists with the spoken word. And they're kind of a very underappreciated form of art. And so I love working with them. So we have 3 stand comedians that we hired to do like sketch comedy for us in our reels and on our social media. So we're trying to be our own thing and just find the back door to everything. So what everybody else is doing, let them. We'll go do something else. Even our own brand, like everything had to change because we had a brand before and then everyone started copying us. And I was like, hey, we're changing. So we did a full rebrand and we're going to do it again right away. Just spoiler alert. But yeah, people just try to copy what we're doing. So every time that happens, we go, okay, well, let's change. We got to be different and go in a whole new direction because we're going to be different.
Just because you feel like everybody else is doing that?
I think influencers are great if you have like a local restaurant that serves a cool food product. But my opinion is, especially with us in the CPG industry, is that I don't think people are going to trust influencers for a very long time. I think that is coming to an end. So I think the future of influencers will be mega celebrities and then hyper local. So if you're doing a travel blog or a food blog, I think there's still some space there because I don't think I really care about your values and who you are as a person. If you show me there's this really cool restaurant that just opened, I'm like, oh, I'm a foodie, I will go there. But when it comes to like lifestyle brands, CPG brands, I, 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 I personally don't feel like I have a lot of trust with influencers, especially with how much they're being paid to promote certain products. And nothing pisses me off more than being like, I just went to Tim Hortons for their new double with salted caramel in it. And let me tell you, it was the best coffee I've ever had. And it's like, well, how much did they pay you to say that? And I think everyone says the same thing. I don't think there's many people left there going, wow, McDonald's got this influencer to tell us about a new cheeseburger and it must be Michelin star because the way these influencers are hyping it. I don't think that happens. So I think that we're just saying we're not going to participate in that. And we're just going to build community around our brand with people that matter to us. And we're going to be our own influencers.
Sense. I think there's more distrust ever before. And I don't even know if I would say distrust. There's just more awareness now because so many people consume so much content and so many people are getting into the world of online business. So you feel like you're kind of constantly being sold something, and that fine line of authenticity is getting even finer. And when you see somebody who's like actively, sponsoring this person this week or talking about this business this week, you're like, well, I don't know how much like merit I put into your opinion anymore, though. It seems like you're just being paid by these big brands.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, I was born in the 90s or in 90. I was messaging with one of my idols from the 90s the other day. So George Stroumboulopoulos is a big cold brew coffee drinker, so we sent him some, and he came from that like punk, like cool 90s alternative era. He still sort of has that energy about him, and that whole thing was like, don't sell out. Like that was the whole thing in like punk, like music culture. I loved ska back in the day, which most people have forgotten that ska even existed, but like couldn't be a sellout, man. And I kind of just feel like that's what everyone's doing now when they just hire these. And I think the influencers have sold out, and I don't blame them. Like some of them are making crazy money to post a video about the taquitos at 7-Eleven. It's nuts, but like it's a sellout thing. So, and you talk about sponsorship. So what we're doing this year is we're not sponsoring the classic people you would see. So we're not sponsoring one of the Jets to come here and do a video about like, I score more goals when I drink Sheepdog. Like, we're not doing that. So what we're doing instead is we've found some very, very ambitious people that nobody knows that have incredible goals doing really hard stuff. And they're complete, no one knows who they are. And we want to help build those people up. So our bareback Bronco rider, this kid comes in here and he's like, he wants to get a sponsorship. He's really nervous. The kid rides like vicious horses for fun, but he's scared to come and talk to us about a sponsorship. He's got 3 posts on Instagram. No one knows where he is, who he is. And he comes in, he sits kind of right here and he says, I just want to go 8 seconds and I want to get on the national circuit. And I said, well, how much money do you need? And he goes, well, it'll be about $50 for each competition. I need $1,000 for the season. I can get all the rodeos. and I'll sleep in my truck, and my mom will make me sandwiches, and I just want to ride. I just want to ride. And I was like, man, like, yeah, let's do it. And so we're going to tell his whole story this year. And our goal is we want people to support this kid as he tries to get onto the national circuit for bareback bronco riding. And I'm just like so excited to build that story and get him the support that he needs. And yeah, he just like works on his ranch and wants to get thrown off. Who doesn't want to? He wants to stay on the horse. Yeah, and I'm just so excited for that. And I think that people will. And my hope is that people will also support him too. And we're going to lend our eyeballs from our audience to his story. And it's not about selling anything. It's just about trying to build up people that matter. This kid, he's a good kid, you know. So
that made me think actually of like what at least my goal kind of is for this show and these conversations is like I'm not necessarily always looking for people who, you know, seem like they've like quote unquote made it.
Mhm.
You know, we're not interviewing multi-million-dollar business owners necessarily. We're kind of looking for people that are just showing that like they're doing the thing and they're figuring it out and they're like, yeah, I had no idea how to do this, but like figured it out and now we got here. And like people that have a cool story to tell because they're just willing to fucking go for it. And I think it feels really good when you can feel like you're joining forces with those people and being like, yeah, I like what you're doing. I believe in you. It's cool. I want to like share your story. That's awesome. So for anybody that is maybe watching this and like has an idea for a product and they think like, I think I want to start a product business, what advice would you give specifically to those people that want to build a product business?
Product businesses are pretty hard. A lesson I learned early was that you have to stay very simple. So if you're going to make a product, don't make 50 different variations. Pick one, maybe three at most, and just continue to refine that and sell that one thing over and over and over and over and over again. That will be far easier and less stressful. So I think one of the big things you see is you'll see like farmers market people or like, you know, Third and Bird is a big Winnipeg market. That was the first one that ever gave us opportunity. And you'll see some of these vendors and you go up and they're trying their best, but they've got 30 different things they're trying to sell. But like if you go online, like I just bought a new wallet. It's like a Ridge wallet. It's because I don't have a police badge anymore, so I had to get a new wallet. And they sell two things, key holders and wallets, and they're the exact same. And they sell that same thing over and 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 over to the point where they're probably so sick of their own product, but they're like, we have to keep just pushing this because you have to just be so simple with your messaging. No one's going to remember all of the details of all these different lines. So pick one thing, continue to improve it, make it better, and stick with it. And I think if you can get 100 people to buy the same thing, you can scale that. And so stick with it and don't veer off. Just maybe you make it look a little nicer. Maybe you make it function a little better, but you stick with the same thing. You talk about it to the point where you are so sick of talking about it. Like I'm so sick of talking about cold brew coffee, but I'll probably do it for another 30 years. Right. And that's just the way it's going to be. So that would be my advice is don't overcomplicate. Simple, make one or two great things and sell those over and over and over and over and over and over and over.
My second last question for you is, do you think that building Sheepdog has changed who you are or has revealed who you have always been?
I think no matter what business you build, it's going to expose all of the parts of you that you need to work on. I have to hold myself to a very high standard. I don't drink. I don't go out. I try to do the right thing, and we're all people. We all make mistakes, but it'll expose all of the parts of you that you have to look at very rapidly, especially as you scale. And I think that's probably the most defining part. But then I don't love how society says you're fine the way you are, treat yourself, do what's best for you. I hate that. I think that we're all capable of being so much more. And when we tell someone that they're fine the way they are, you know, love yourself the way you are and all stuff, I think it's a really shitty way to communicate with people because, what if that person is super depressed and has been thinking about suicide for a long time and you tell them you're great the way you are? It's like, you could be so much more. You could have a way better life. Like maybe you're not that great. But maybe you could do a bunch of things and be great. But you're gonna have to work on it. You're gonna have to change. You're gonna have to learn. And so I think that I think you should look at business as an opportunity to explore a new personality. And if you have great values built around what you're trying to build, it's going to carve you into a new person. It's going to sculpt you into something new and hopefully better if you hold those values tight.
The most epic self-discovery journey I think I could ever go on. It's like you're a constant mirror that you're just holding up to yourself and you're like, oh, this isn't going the way I want it to go. It's kind of all on me though. Like, what can I learn from this? And if your business isn't growing, it's probably because you're not growing.
Mm-hmm. I would agree. Yeah.
Cool. Well, my final question that I always ask everybody is, we make this content for people who relate to feeling like an inspired idiot.
Mm-hmm.
So if you could give one piece of advice to people who feel like inspired idiots and that they have like some big goal they're trying to go after, they're like, I have no idea how to get there, but I'm down to just figure it out. What is the first thing that comes to your mind?
I actually think the problem is people don't set goals big enough. I think I even look back at our goals 4 years ago. I'm like, oh, I wasn't thinking big enough and I wasn't thinking open enough. So I would say be a constant student. You have 2 ears and 1 mouth, use them in that ratio. And I think that you need to look at every interaction with everyone as an opportunity to learn. And so learn, listen. And I'll maybe finish with a story that I always remember, but it's a bit of a fable. I like to think in fables sometimes, but there's this kid making a canoe and everyone in the village comes up and tells him, oh, you got to take off more here. It's not deep enough there, and do this. And he listens to everybody. He makes all of their changes. And then he puts the canoe out in the water and it sinks right to the bottom. And so he goes back and tries again, and he takes all of that advice, but then he says, I know, based on all the things I know, this is how it should be done. And so I think the lesson there is that if you take lots of information in, you're going to learn what the best thing is to do for you, your life, and your business, and that canoe will float, and it'll be fast. And so learn as much as you possibly can, but don't think that everyone's opinion is true. And so that's the point of listening more than talking, is listen to everybody, soak it all in, and then carve out your own path.